So what we have now here, side by side, are the Japanese Military Administration Proclamation and the British Military Administration Proclamation, or the JMA and the BMA proclamations for short. And I think these two are very interesting because they represent this period of time in Singapore's history when we were ruled by consecutive military administrations. And also it represented a very turbulent period in Singapore's history, something that was a big rupture from the past, where everything was quite smooth sailing. And following this, there will be actually many more changes in government as a result.
If you look at the Japanese Military Administration Proclamation, you'll see a clause where it's stated that if anyone opposes the Japanese military administration, they would be executed. And there's no court of appeal. You could be summarily executed under Japanese military law.
We see that once the Japanese had come and conquered Singapore, they actually had put this out to inform the people that they were now in power. One of the things that they did was to let everybody know that all previous British laws and ordinances, regulations, they were not abolished and that they were now the ones in charge. Another interesting thing about the JMA proclamation is that when you look at it, at the end of it, it's actually dated to 1941, which is the year actually before the Japanese actually had come to Singapore. And it actually shows that the Japanese had made such early preparations to take over the administration of Singapore.
A place that you see, the City Hall Chamber, is where the Japanese signed the surrender agreement with the British.
The British, represented by Lord Louis Mountbatten,
accepted the Japanese surrender and announced it at the steps of City Hall. If you look at the British Military Administration Proclamation, a much more benign administration, you still see clauses where, for instance, the head of the British Military Administration, Lord Louis Mountbatten, could suspend all courts, apart from those under direct military purview, subject to no checks or challenges by any other authority.
So they used to call the BMA, instead of British Military Administration, they used to refer to it as Black Market Authority. It's just, I guess it's an insider joke. And also I guess it also reflected the fact that during the time, they were still struggling with food rations and things like this. So a lot of these things were smuggled and then they would be sold at marked up prices. So that's the only way you can get kind of your essential supplies. I guess the documents together also, they reflect this turbulent period, and the people within Singapore, they found themselves under British rule one day, then under Japanese rule another day, and then again when the British came back, they found themselves liberated under British rule, and so it kind of set
the corrupt kind of.
It kind of laid the seeds for people to actually feel that what is the solution to being just tossed and turned like a little boat in the sea, in the large waves. So in order to actually do that, in order to overcome that, you need actually to form your own government, the power to choose the people who will be able to rule over you. The proclamation of the BMA is quite interesting. It's quite a long piece of paper, and we actually have multiple copies of it. And the reason for that is that these were actually mass printed during the time. And below there, actually, there's a signature. But our copies are unsigned because the ones that were originally signed would have been pasted up all over the city as notices, because that would be the best way to inform the population that the British had returned and they had claim authority over the area again. Those who have been left out in the open, under the elements, the ink should be washed away under the rain, so those are not preserved with the archives. But we have these extra copies that are blank and for you to see.
Perfect. These copies are essentially perfectly preserved.